Right, let's now bring in political analyst Dr Ntsikelelo Breakfast to weigh in on the political developments in the country affecting citizens. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Breakfast. It's always a pleasure to have you on our show.
Thank you very much for having me, Flo.
You're most welcome. Let's start here then. It does seem as though we're starting to see, that protest action that comes as we've started to get used to before there's any sort of election. It seems to be some sort of a bargaining tool that is used by citizens and one would say the electorate. And I'd like to ask you then, in your assessment, are these protests in fact impactful as a way for people to get what they want? It doesn't seem that way, because we keep having these protests.
Well, Flo, normally service delivery protests are an expression of discontentment. They are an expression of unhappiness due to lack of responsiveness of the political elite and also public officials. So most of them are caused by structural issues of inequality, poverty, unemployment, and so on. But what we have seen also, Flo, of late in the light of the recent local government elections is that there is a connection now with regard to the slow pace of service delivery and voter turnout. Because people are not receiving services that they're supposed to get, they normally don't show up at the polls, and we blame them for that and forget that politicians have a responsibility to promote development for the majority.
Yeah, and then let's also talk about, what we're seeing of late, where the ANC seems to be making, strides in retaining power in those municipalities that they had lost in local government elections. It's, you may say that, the lesson was learned. I mean, you say, for example, that people just simply don't rock up to elect, and where they were not elected, but here we go, the ANC seems to get their way ultimately. Is this the future and perhaps something that the ANC is used to, that, we might lose local government elections, but at the end, these coalition talks and these coalition agreements will disintegrate. And then guess what? We're back in power.
Flo, I think the ANC has been the biggest loser. I'll tell you why. Because the ANC got below 50%. Meaning that if we had had general elections, the ANC would have lost power. Yeah. So the ANC has been dealt with a blow in terms of its electoral performance. So the ANC is no longer hegemonic, but due to the circumstances that they find themselves in, they've been fortunate that they're able to come back to power now. Because Dada Morewa was elected last week as the mayor of the city of Johannesburg. And I think that change of government in the city of Johannesburg might influence also what is happening in other cities in Gauteng. I can bet my bottom dollar something is going to happen soon in Ekurhuleni and also in Tshwane. But if the ANC comes to power, it must remember that it will come to power via a coalition formation. So they should not behave like they are a bosso yadi bosso, or they are in charge. Things can change.
Dr. Breakfast, I mean, at the end of the day, what it is, and especially with our electoral system in South Africa, is that it is simply a numbers game. So, we can say that, about the ANC, but it does seem as though, they do still have those numbers. And one wonders if this will change, in any way.
Flo, as I indicated, if people wanted to vote for the ANC, if they wanted to vote for the ANC, they could have voted for the ANC in the first place, and they did not vote for the ANC. So if the ANC comes into power, it is not going to come into power by itself. It will come into power via a coalition arrangement. They must keep that in mind. They must bear that in mind. So they should not be arrogant. And also, Flo, what we have seen of late is that these power sharing arrangements, they've been unworkable and unstable. Even these ones that might come into the picture, they might be short-lived.
Yeah. And then are we likely to see, elections where possibly the governing party that is now, might be in a position where, that they've lost the confidence that they had before in the eyes of the electorate, sort of regaining it, though, through those coalitions? And who do they trust then, when it comes to coalitions? We've seen that, there's really no friends or enemies when it comes to politics. But, one needs to kind of assess who's more aligned with the way that the ANC is going or wants to go, and where is the ANC actually going?
Flo, first of all, the challenge that we have is that opposition parties are failing to capture the imagination of the electorate. They don't function as a unified force. They don't function as a unit. And because of that fragmentation across the political spectrum, that gives the ANC an upper hand. Because if opposition parties cannot function as a unit, it means that the ANC is not under threat. I mean, not long ago, Mmusi Maimane has just unveiled his own political party, meaning that we are going to have a lot of opposition parties. Secondly, with that kind of arrangement, it means that the ANC is likely to hold on to power a bit longer, despite the fact that it falls short of promoting development.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Breakfast, we'll certainly have more of these conversations in due time. Thank you for availing yourself once again here to SABC News. Thank you.